Hey, welcome back to the exciting episode of Yomo. This is the Year of Magical Learning podcast, and we are on Yomo 351. And brand new book, and similar like familiar authors, Malcolm
Familiar.
Gladwell.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Malcolm Gladwell, familiar author. But actually not too familiar. I hadn't read a Malcolm Gladwell. We haven't done a Malcolm Gladwell book in I think the last one
We
we did
did
was like
we did a few
David and
before.
Goliath. Yeah, we did I think it was just David and Goliath.
We did
I didn't do
the
Outliers.
what is it? If,
Oh, what the dog saw.
yeah,
We did with
something about the desire for disadvantage. I
that
can't get.
that was David and Goliath.
Oh, wait.
And then we did what the dog saw early on as well. So I think those are the only two that we've done up to this point. However, that said, I in my life now, I've read every single Malcolm Gladwell book.
Okay.
I think he's probably done. Actually, this book kicked off a Malcolm Gladwell binge for me. I was like, oh my God, like this guy's just like it's like he tailor writes these books for me. Like it's a I mean I get sucked in like immediately. He's just such a good storyteller. He sets the stage with he asks a question and then he like it's like a detective, and you're just gonna
Mhm.
you're gonna go on a journey with him and you know it. His voice is so soothing. His the way that he like
The midnight DJ voice.
he's got the midnight DJ. He is just like like just delicious. Like I mean, that guy is so good at what he does. It's almost disgusting. I mean, there's a reason why he's Malcolm Gladwell. I mean,
Mhm.
I actually I don't even know most of his content. I've come to realize that most of his content isn't really original.
Right. Most of his content is research,
It is.
in a
But
way.
he puts it all together so well. And then so many other people read his books because they're so popular that then they take little bits and pieces of, the 10,000 hour rule or the rule of 150 or, the whatever other blink, whatever other rules, the tipping point, all these like pop culture jargons that get put out there as to that Malcolm Gladwell is the origin of that, but not really the origin of that. He's just
Mhm.
so popular that he does such a good job of bringing
It's
that
like
into.
a wordsmith in a story format.
Yes.
Taking something that is like physics and become the Richard Feynman and explain it to somebody and make it fun, or the Bill Bryson of the world making
Yep.
something so like not interesting,
Boring. Right.
right?
Yeah.
But Malcolm Gladwell, he does his research and then he takes it and he brings it out in a way that makes it more, give it
It's a
clarity,
detective story. It's a
right?
detective story. Like I mean, it reminds me of I can't remember what book that was from, but I'll never forget the the idea that was presented, but I can't remember exactly where it was from. I think it might have been from Moonwalking with Einstein, where they talked about they're the most popular professors. What they do. Actually, I think it may have been an Adam Grant book. It was some anyway. It doesn't matter. I can't remember which book it came from, but it was something along the lines of the most popular professors. What they do that's so different than every other professor is they start off their lecture that keeps people engaged with a question, and then they go on like a hunt, like exploratory hunt, right?
Hmm.
And people want to know the answer. It's like watching a movie. It's like when you think of like the best movies you ever saw. It was something happened, and then you dissect it the rest of the whole, and then they slowly give you little bits and pieces and crumbles along the way as you take the bait down the path, right? And you're like, oh my God, what's next? What's next? What's next? What's next? Like it just hangs you on the edge of your seat versus um like setting the whole stage and telling people what's going to happen. Like, that's cool. Like that's another approach, but that's not necessarily great. Or just dumping all kinds of data on people. Like, I mean,
Well,
snore fest, right?
that's the worst. The
Right.
worst way to learn is dumping data information
We don't learn in
into it.
numbers.
It's about almost like a quest to find some sort of an answer
Yeah.
to a question that was posed, or even for us, if we post it ourselves. If I'm suspense, I mean, I want to know what happened. That's why, suspense thrillers are really like you sit on the edge of your seat most of the time because you you don't want to miss the clue they give you so they can find the answer that now sometimes the answer is not even something interesting. It's just that it intrigues you and it exploits the human mind in a way.
It does. It does. It really does. I mean, it's I mean, even the word question like starts with quest, right? I mean, because you know, there's a reason why we called it the core values quest, right? Because it wasn't like, hey, here's all the answers. Like, we don't want that. Like, we like we like not knowing, but on a path to knowing. You know, like there's like that fine line between like,
we
oh,
want to
well,
know, but we don't want to know if that
yes,
makes sense,
yeah,
right? So the
yes,
thing is, we know how to go find the answers, but we don't want to know the answers.
exactly. Because then the game's over. You know, like
Right? Because a lot of time, the I guess the essence and the desire to continue your life is about what is that I can uncover. It's not about what I mean. It's like, hey, I can sit here and say, okay, I can go back to take a time machine and go back and live the life exactly as I live now, and I cannot change any point of my life. I cannot change
right.
anything from it. Would you want to go back?
I don't think so because you already know it.
Exactly,
You already know what's
exactly.
happened. You know, like
Because the why do you want to go back? It's because you want to change something.
or I guess you just really loved a particular segment of your life that you wanted to
But
re-enjoy
even
that.
then,
Like, I already know what's gonna
you don't
happen.
want it.
Yeah,
Even then, you still don't want it.
I
You
mean,
want it because
I
there
agree.
is a change, and you have some familiarity, but you also have to change. The change is what keeps you going. If you
Yeah,
don't, if you know your life up front completely, then it is not as fun. The essence of your life isn't as enjoyable. That is just a
I agree.
human psychology. We are somehow been embedded that kind of a process.
It's funny you're saying this because this is kind of going back to last episode about not knowing and knowing and about the book Quit with Annie Duke.
Hmm.
Like that was what I talked about in that the last reflection was like we don't just want to know, we have to know. But like to your point, once we know the answer, this is the anti-library. This is exactly what the anti-library is. You know, it's who gives a shit about all the books you've already read? Like it's all the books you haven't read that keep you wanting to keep learning, right? Like and to keep you wanting to keep exploring
There's no need to
and
have the book if you already know what's in the book.
I agree. I mean, so like the only time that I ever want to go back to a book is when I think that there's more to be uncovered in that book, right? Like, you know, I probably won't go back and reread Talking to Strangers, you know. But I will
Or the
probably go back
compound
and
effect. Think
or the
about it.
compound.
But
Yeah,
the
I
thing
mean, I
is,
don't
there's
even know
only
that. Yeah,
one concept there, and you
right.
know this. The concept is
I'm
compound
good.
effect.
Right.
You go back and you read like the Thinking Fast and Slow because there's so many things
There's
we
so much
missed.
like like that is true. The books that have just massive like Joseph Campbell's you know the Hero with a Thousand Faces. I could probably go back and reread that again, even though it was boring as hell. I know I
Mhm.
missed a lot because it was so boring. Honestly, talk about the hero's journey. It's hilarious because his book was like the worst non-hero's journey ever. You know, I mean, it's a you know that's what Malcolm Gladwell does. He does a hero's journey. He takes you through, you know, the whole thing. And anyway,
That's
all right.
why the movies are interesting because you think about it, the movies it's actually the same thing over and over
Oh
and over
yeah,
again. It's no different. It's
right.
every movie that is any have any kind of interesting level to it, it has a hero's journey. Something
Yep,
has a problem. Come get a quest.
yep.
Become, conquers the quest, conquer his problem, bring it back.
Share the
Share with the
elixir.
world.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's actually it's funny you say that because you are right. Like that is we're drawn to that story over and over and over again and over again, right? I've found more and more personal sentiment toward the artist's journey. The Stephen Pressfield book that was like, what comes after the hero's journey? That's great. You can only have so many hero's journeys in your life, you know, but like once you get the elixir and you share the elixir, like what comes after that, right? And like the whole idea of the artist's journey that comes after that is really boring, right? You know, there is no big ahas every single day. It's you know what you want to do and you know what brings you happiness, so you just do it every single day, right? Like Amelia and I like doing our living for two stuff every single day. To probably to anybody else would probably say that's it's pretty boring, Chris. Like, and I'm gonna say no, it's not boring. It's not. It's the farthest thing from boring to me because it's so much deeper than just this epic adventure that we're on kind of thing. Like it's something that gives me fulfillment every single day versus that idea of this hero's journey that there's like this big epic adventure that we're like on. And because everyday life isn't like that, right? Like, I mean, that it maybe have some components that when you look at it on the totality, but like on an everyday kind of thing, like once the journey's over, it's the artist journey, right? Once the hero's journey is over, then it's the artist journey,
Right. I think what my hypothesis is this. The hero's journey is something that everyone can relate.
Mhm.
Because that's
Yeah,
everyone. Everyone
makes
has that
sense.
need to, and that's why we are drawn to the stories and to the movies, because all the movies I've noticed that always follow the hero's journey. Otherwise, it won't be interesting,
Right.
and everybody watches it. But once it's over, there's a lot of people who cannot relate because that's not their journey anymore. That's not their life anymore. Just like the hero's journey a is a need that everyone have, but the artist journey is only some people have that. Like a beaver must stand, right? You just watch
Right.
people doing their damming all day. A lion can sit there, he's gonna yawn,
Yep.
right? But the hero's journey, it applies to everybody, so that everybody is drawn to the hero's journey. But the artist journey is not going to draw on everybody.
It's
It's
only
only
drawing a
drawn
beaver. Yeah.
to that
Yeah.
one
It's
specific
right.
one.
Yes. Yes. That's exactly right. It's a tailor-made story for one beaver that needs to dam every single day,
Right.
or one whatever you are and what your purpose is. And people
Hmm.
like nobody's going to give a shit about my purpose, and they shouldn't. Like, in all seriousness, I mean,
Because if they give about your shit about your purpose, then he's not following his purpose.
But exactly, yeah. So like that's the I think the fascinating, I guess, thing that Malcolm Gladwell doesn't really do that at all. Like because that would be a boring book. Like, I mean, it's true. It's like
Hmm.
anyway. All right. So on to the reflection though. Well, oh no, I haven't used this computer before.
You
You want to
need
share?
the
You want to
link.
share your screen? I haven't. I haven't.
You need a link. I send you the link. Okay.
No. Just share your screen. Yeah.
Hmm.
Optimize for video clip. God damn it. Open
There you
system
go.
preferences. There we go. I have not I haven't this is a new computer, so I hadn't shared my screen ever on Zoom on this. So the reflection title for this one is Don't Be a Stranger to Yourself, right? So we were just talking about, I don't need to talk about the beginning where Malcolm Gladwell was a genius, but I mean he really is. I mean, like, he's so good. I mean, it's just
Well, he's
uh,
doing his Beaver Mustang thing, so
you know how long it takes me to read a Malcolm Gladwell book?
that too.
Yeah, like I mean, I don't,
It's like watching a movie, right? Like a lot of
it's
time people watch like a good series, they watch it in one weekend. It's like
oh yeah,
right
if it's
because the
great,
thing is
yeah,
because they are really in suspense and they will continue to want it because the Malcolm Gladwell does a hero's journey. Every single chapter is going to allude to something that it needs it for the
it just
next
keeps
chapter.
you,
So
and you're like, oh
so
my
it's
god,
like you
I
can't
can't stop.
stop.
Yeah,
So
right.
there's no stopping point in a Malcolm Gladwell's
No,
book, right?
no,
So you're gonna read as much as time allows you.
yep. I
So
mean,
you have time and you can go through it.
and I find time for Malcolm Gladwell books, and not only that, he
Right.
makes them the perfect length too, where they are like they're not like it's not like 500 pages or something like that, or it's not like 50 pages. It's like 250, and it's like he just knows it. He has the science down to a T, man, of like I can capture your attention for this amount of time and for this amount of duration before I know that you're gonna go, and start to waver from me or whatever. He like
Mm.
just keeps you right on that line of an upward trajectory of engagement the entire time. And then finally and then it's over and you're like, oh man, it's over. Like I want more, but like but you feel really fulfilled and happy. Like I don't know, it's pretty remarkable. So anyway, enough of that. But the my reflection title of this one is Don't Be a Stranger to Yourself. So if you don't know what this book's about, it's about he goes through the controversial excursion through history, psychology, and scandals taken from the news, where he looks at the deceptions of people like Bernie Madoff, Amanda Knox, the girl that got arrested in Italy for the murder of her boyfriend or whatever it was when she was on like study abroad program. The suicide of Sylvia Plath, Jerry Sandusky, the Penn State coach, that molested a lot of kids, and then the death of Sandra Bland, who was a black woman in a car and accident with like the police, where it shouldn't have happened, right, kind of thing. So the central thesis of this book is like, we don't really know the people. Like, it's easy to deceive us when we meet. So how do you know when you're talking to a stranger if they're who you think they are, or like what how does this all work, how does the psychology of all this stuff work, and it's just a really interesting book of like, opening your eyes to like, how do we navigate this world, right? And the one thought that I had as soon as this book was over is like, you can't trust anybody. Like, like honestly, like the words that come, I mean, you and I have talked about this so many times throughout the course of this journey. The only thing that matters is the actions that you perform on any single given day, and that actually shows what you care about in this world and who you really are, right? And I'm not saying that words don't matter. Words do matter, but actions matter more, and words should only back up actions, in my opinion, of what you see. I think there's a famous quote that we talked about before in the past. I'm going to probably butcher this a little bit. It was, it's gosh, it's preach it's preach the gospel at all times, and when necessary, use words. Right? You preach the gospel through your actions. You preach the gospel when you do what you do. Whatever your gospel is, I guess, is the point. Whatever your values are, whatever matters to you, it should be readily apparent to anybody that's around you for any given course of the day, what matters to you most. And that's just based off of how you live your life, right? So like, if you ever heard the saying before of like, show me your calendar and show me your bank account, and I'll show you what matters to you, kind of thing. You ever heard that before?
I think you said that before.
Yeah, it's I mean, I don't know that there's a more true statement that I've ever heard, honestly. It's I mean, you can say whatever you want to say in this world. You could say, grit, fail fast, fall in love with the
I say
process.
Ohana all the time.
Ohana,
And
right?
then I
Like,
fire your ass the next moment. Like, hey, we didn't make increase, projections.
right.
You increase the projection.
And that's not what your actions
You gotta
say,
go,
right?
dude. You gotta go. You only
Exactly.
make 100% improvement. I need 120%. You
Sorry,
get out of here.
that's what matters,
You're my
right?
brother. I love
Uh,
you to death. I mean, I hear that over and over. It's like, you don't. You don't love me to death. Like, you want to
yep.
kill me.
It's bullshit, right? So there was this teacher. I'm not gonna say his name. I went to a private Catholic high school when I was growing up, right? And I don't know if you are you Catholic? I can't remember. I think you are, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So did you go to a Catholic school, or did you go to like
I'm not that privileged.
Yeah. I don't know that it's privileged to go to the schools that I went to. Like, it was we had the shittiest shit, like like we had less than what the public schools had in terms of, resources and capabilities.
Well, that's the thing is, what you think is good for others doesn't mean it's really good for others. Like, your parents think it's good for you, but it wasn't good for you. It's like, it makes it worse.
It does. I mean, like,
the more they try to give you a better life, the worse life you've got.
That's kind of true, honestly. I mean, that's the philosophy of Catholic schools.
I mean, that's the thing is, I'm saying is, the devil doesn't know he's a devil.
That's true.
The worst person that gives you I guess the short end of the bargain is actually the closest people to you.
Yeah. Makes sense. Say that again.
The person that makes your life the most misery is the person that's most closest to you.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, that's
right. The devil doesn't know he's a devil.
Yeah, that for sure. Like, yeah, 100%. I 100% agree with that. The only reason I'm bringing this story up is it reminds me of there's this teacher that used to teach religion at my high school. Religion class was required, obviously, going to a Catholic school, right? So we had religion class every single every single day of my life from kindergarten through 12th grade, right?
Uh-huh.
Our I think he was our 12th grade um, religion teacher, and he was crippled, kind of yeah, he was crippled. I mean, he could walk, but he had like some serious mobility issues, and he's always been that way. I think he was born that way. This guy was like, in theory, the model of Christianity and faith, and he's endured so many things, and the stuff that he stood for, in words, and
Hmm.
were things that like everybody really 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 valued and appreciated, and yada yada yada, right? And he was like revered, and throughout the school. He's also one of the main hosts of this thing that we do every year called the Senior Retreat, which is a big deal and a huge rite of passage for everybody in my high school. So each quarter, we have 4 quarters in high school, right? Each quarter, a quarter of the senior class goes to this retreat that's called the Christian Awakening Retreat, and
Hmm.
it's like a 4 day activity, and you um, the best way to describe it is uh, you all walk in. So my senior class was like, I think 250 people. So let's just say 60 people ish, go to each one of these quarterly, sessions, right?
Hmm.
So the first 60 people go in the first quarter of the year. And then all of a sudden these motherfuckers come back and they're like all hugging each other all day long in the hallways, and everybody's just like crying, and people are walking around going, "Live the fourth, man, live the fourth," and you're like, what the fuck just happened? And then they have this like, there's this thing that there's this unwritten code amongst all the people that go that are like we're not allowed to share with anybody that hasn't gone yet, what happens at the Christian Awakening retreat, right? And
Sounds
uh
suspicious.
it is. I mean, like well,
That sounds BS to me.
well, it is and it isn't, because like here's why. Because you and I have talked about this before. When you know something that other people don't know, it's kind of worthless to even talk to them about it. It's not necessarily about building mystery. It's more about like you just want to understand anyway. So it's what's the point? Like, I mean, I can't explain to you all the events that went into me coming back, and the biggest dork in the class, and the senior, and the biggest jock popular guy is hugging in the hallway crying with each other, and you're like, how the fuck did this happen? Like, like we spent 4 years together in the same class, and you're a nerd and you're not, and all of a sudden everybody's like singing kumbaya, holding hands and crying with each other, and you're like, what the fuck happened? What the fuck happened? It doesn't, like, it just doesn't make any sense, right?
Is
So
it is it this room?
I mean, it could have been. Well, I
Did
guess
you
you'll never
go?
know. Yeah, I did go. Yeah, so I went the second quarter of the year, and then you find out why, right? Like,
Hmm.
it is a pretty moving. I'm a pretty big skeptical religious person in general, and I don't spirituality and faith, I'm not skeptical at all, but like religion, formal religion, and the order around it, I'm super skeptical of. I don't like it at all. I mean, I've kind of rebelled against that for my entire life. The However, I did go to this thing, and you do come back feeling really connected to the people around you. I mean, like, and it is, it's, I mean, I can't describe it. You spend a whole lot of time talking about a lot of things that matter and a lot of things that don't matter, and you spend a whole lot of time getting to know people on a deeper level, and you spend a whole lot of time just understanding, the people you're around and how amazing they are, and being able to, they call it, at the end of the last day, they give you these little crosses, and they say like to remind you to live the fourth, which is like the fourth day, that feeling you have on the last day of the retreat. And it is a good reminder, because you walk out of there feeling like you're connected to everybody, and you really
Hmm.
do love everybody that's around you, and it's weird. It's a really weird thing. Anyway, so this teacher, was his one of his main duties is he runs this senior Christian Awakening retreat, and he does it for all the year, and he gets really close to a lot of these people, right? And he's somebody that we all look up to, and we're like, this guy, you're in a really transformational moment, and in a transformational setting, and like this guy is like the the icon that you're supposed to look up to. Yeah, this is the model. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
and I'm not saying that he's like some god or something like that. It was just like, he's in a very powerful position with a lot of vulnerable people that are opening up about a lot of things, and and long story short, these are the messages that he's giving us, is like, see Jesus in everybody, and and blah 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 blah, and like, and we go around and we have all these conversations. And I remember coming back from my session, and like 3 weeks later, I find out that this dude's like going to strip clubs with like, like people, yeah, blah 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 blah, and nothing bad. I don't care, right? Like, strip clubs, who cares? Like, I've been to tons of strip clubs in my life. Like, I don't give a shit like that he was going to strip clubs. It was the hypocrisy of the message of how you say this to us and to our face, and then you go do something else, right? Like, and this is the idea of the talking to strangers, right? Is like, you don't really ever know what's going on with somebody until you see what they do, like, and how they actually act in this world, right? So this is the whole point of all this, is the only person, it's hard to even trust yourself sometimes, because you can tell yourself, like, with words, like, this is what matters. Hey, eat the frog is what matters to me, or work hard, play hard. Like, what the fuck does that even mean? Like, do I really want to get to the office and just go for 8 hours, and then leave the office and then go, do 9 lines of cocaine until 7 a.m. in the morning, and wake back up and go? No, I don't want either of those. Like, I mean, that I don't even know what that means. Like, like, I don't that's not what I actually care about. But I mean, if you asked me before I met my daughter, I would have said, yeah, work hard, play harder, or do the things you hate the most first, or grit, or eat the frog, or whatever other bullshit that I would have said. And I would have genuinely meant it. But like, my actions did not reflect that, right? Like, it was easy to say, like, Chris, do you really do the things you hate the most first every single day? And I would go, no, no, I don't. I probably do the stuff that I absolutely love to do. I've always done the stuff that I absolutely love to do, and I will always do the stuff that I absolutely love to do every single day when I wake up. So my point being is, like, this whole book was an eye-opening experience of how much we are swayed by people's words, but how much words mean nothing, and really, actions are the only things that ever matter. So for me personally, if you looked at my bank account, and you looked at if you don't believe me and all the stuff that you and I've talked about, go look at my bank account and go look at my schedule, right? Like, all I do all day long up until just recently, was, in the morning, it was reading, it was exercise, it was writing time with my daughter. Then it was all day long doing one-on-ones to help coach and guide people about their lives, not even my work. I don't even give a shit about that stuff. And then after that, it was, I'm gonna go play pickleball or tennis or something else. And after that, I'm gonna spend time with my family. And then after that, I'm gonna spend time with True. And after that, I'm going to fucking bed, because I'm cashed out, and I don't have any more things left to do, and I don't have any more energy left. And you look at my bank account, what did I spend my money on? It's usually pickleball, tennis, workout gear, buying ball machines or some other bullshit or whatever. I mean, like, this is what I spend my money on. Like, I mean, I like books. Like, this is what I buy. These are my splurges, right? Like, I mean, so it's, the point being is, like, what you actually do every single day, and that's all that really matters. Like, that is the only thing. And you can't. It's so easy to even fool yourself. Like, think about how easy it is to be fooled by somebody else, right? If you can't even know in your own fucking mind, what you're saying is a load of crap to yourself. Like, how hard is it? It's an impossibility to know what's going on in the other person's mind, unless you just look to their actions. I mean, that's all I have to say. I'd love to get your thoughts.
Well, first of all, I think the reflection title is a great one, and I think, but I like to challenge you for a deeper layer, because I think, it's very true that when we talk to people, we have no idea who they are,
Right.
right? That means that for most people, like a lot of people, I'm talking about 99.99% of the people, that's almost 100% of people, they have different persona in public and in private. So in public, it's completely not that person. So you will never ever going to be able to tell that person like who they are by
Yep.
talking to them. You won't know. So
Yep.
I really like that, the fact that if you look at people's calendar and look at their bank account, you look at the action. The action gives more details. But I'm saying is, even like and you alluded to that in your monologue um, a moment ago, is that some people don't even know themselves, right? And so
I'd say most people
imagine me as your partner in crime in this company, have met you 10 years ago, and we get to spend time together and get true to know about Chris. I would have known a completely different Chris.
Yeah, you would have. I mean,
because it is not like you trying to have. I mean, like, we can spend and you can show your private life to me, as opposed to like the other people, by sharing the details of you. Even then, the Chris that I know 10 years earlier would have been a completely different Chris, because that Chris has been like conditions to think in a different way, like eating the frog, the grits, doing the hard things first, and doing all these different whatever it is. But that really doesn't align to Chris. It only gives, because you look, if I were to look at your calendar back, like when you're 25, 30 years old, I look at your calendar, right? Yes, there's some tennis in there, but I'm sure that you'd be like, there wasn't much, but you focus that time on like your time will
I
be
would go out with friends.
meeting. Yeah,
I'd go out with friends all the time.
You go out with friends, right? You go out with friends. You will go to party. You will
travel,
go drink, go travel, do a bunch of stuff. So it's not really the Chris. It may like give a peek inside of who you really are.
But that really was Chris. Like, I mean, to be fair,
it wasn't truly the Chris, right? So there's some Chris in there, but it's not a whole. Maybe 50% of Chris in there, because you like to travel, like. But all that thing isn't really the Chris that I know today, right?
Yeah,
because that Chris was still a stranger to himself.
Agreed, 100%.
So that's why I'm saying is the reflection title is a great one, because if you don't know who you are, you can't really be able to share with other people, and for other people to understand you. Just like you go to this awakening retreat, right? This guy, blah blah blah, but he doesn't know himself, so the wrong person, whatever that person is. Let's say you meet Jim, right? Well, Jim is whatever Jim pretends to be. It's not really Jim really is. So if I were to know Chris, well, it's what Chris pretends to be, or thinks he wants to be.
I got a fun confession for you. Did you ever heard of the Promise to Keep program?
No. Promise to Keep.
Promise to Keep. It's called Promise to Keep, i.e., promise to keep your virginity, abstinence, right? That's what it's about, right? So at a Catholic high school, we had this program called A Promise to Keep, where a lot of people participated in it, and we would not only participate in it, where we would swear, to stay abstinent, because that was like, part of our religion, faith, community, whatever, blah 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 blah. You would then actually go to grade schools, like the Catholic grade schools that fed into our Catholic high schools, and you would go teach like fourth graders, fifth graders, or whatever about, the idea of promise to keep and blah 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 blah, and like, and you would talk to them about it. Well, I did promise to keep, and I was having sex with my girlfriend the entire time while I was doing it. It's like, as a 16-year-old, I mean, like, that's fucked up.
I mean, this is what I'm saying is, if I tell you, Chris, don't think about an elephant, what do you do?
I mean, you think about an elephant, of course.
So you cannot say promise to keep. You are bringing it up. You bring it up to top of mind. That's what you're doing.
I was in a program called A Promise to Keep, and I was not keeping that
shit.
I was literally talking to little kids and telling them like how important this is.
Well, it's not about me. It's about you, little kids.
I mean, but like, can you imagine how fucked up that is to even say that out loud, to go, Chris, like, you didn't have to do that. Well, I know I didn't have to do that, but why did you do that? I don't know. I don't know why I did that. Probably because my friends were doing it, and like, and I was like, I guess I can go talk to little kids too. I mean, it seems like people value this in our school, like,
I mean, the more you're trying to constrain yourself, the the more you're trying to break out. That's why for us, like, if you say, well, I don't want to do this, but you really want to do it, so there's no point in you just create misery for yourself,
Right. It's
right?
like I would rather be I would rather be a
But the
liar.
hypocrisy
That's
is
the problem.
uh
Is the hypocrisy. That is. I would rather just be a liar and say I'm a liar and then lie to people and then go, "Well, I told you I was going to lie to you." Like, like,
then you're not
no,
lying.
well, I'm not lying about that. Right? I mean, I would rather be that in life
I think the
than
hypocrisy to me is the greatest sin
it
ever.
is.
Because
It
thing
really
is,
is.
to me, that is the most disgusting thing for anyone, right? Because like I say, like if I'm this asshole, then I'm the asshole,
Right.
right?
Just be
But
an asshole.
but it doesn't sting as much as I'm this asshole, but I'm pretending to be this nice guy
Right.
and trying to convince everybody that I'm a nice guy and
Right.
use that, right? To me, that is so like icky.
It's
It's
diabolical.
almost unforgivable.
It
So that's
is.
why, for whatever reason, human beings detested hypocrisy so much, right? I mean, that's why we even as thieves, right? There's honor among thieves. Even
Right.
among thieves, you don't steal from thieves, right?
Yeah.
Because that's the only way to even have any kind of a social order, social organizations.
Right.
Because
You have to
I,
trust people. Like you have
I'm
to
a
trust
liar,
people.
but I have to be truthful to another liar. You think
Yes.
about it,
But
but the
you have to,
hypocrisy, for whatever reason, it
the
just
foundation of trust. You have to have a foundation of trust to build any relationship, and we know how important social relationships are amongst humanity because we need each other to help each other, right? So like if you can't trust the person you're around, then you have nothing.
the foundation
It's gone.
yeah. There's no foundation anymore. It's
And
basically
go
crap.
ahead. Yeah. Yeah. This is what I was talking about with the professor, the
The
teacher
teacher. Hmm.
at in high school. Like I don't trust you anymore. Like you could sit here and tell me all you want to tell me all day long to live this certain way of life, like blah blah blah, to see Jesus and everybody. And then when I see what your actions are, they're not bad. Once again, I don't give a fuck if you're going to a strip club. Just say I'm going to a strip club. Like and be okay with that. Like, like I would not if he would have told me that, hey guys, like I think going to
That
watch
teacher is
strippers
that. That this teacher is
is
this. I mean, but
I'd be like, okay.
why pretend to be this icon and idol, blah blah blah, and then go out and do the opposite? I
Right.
mean, to me, this is like, I think it's so much misery for you not to be yourself. You think about it.
It's
But
horrible.
let's say for you, Chris, like you're a talkative person. Try not talking.
It's horrible. Yeah, I mean
It is hard.
I've tried a
For
few
me,
times.
it's like for me, it's like I don't like people, right?
It
For me to
hurts.
go and talk to people, it's like I don't want to. It takes so much more energy, double, 10 times. I don't know what.
Yeah,
It takes so much more energy for you to be someone else.
it does.
And so for this guy to go and to me, it's like, I mean, imagine Chris, you doing this thing with your girlfriend, and you go and you tell this, like, look into the fourth grader's face and say, the promise to keep. I mean, how do you feel?
I feel horrible.
Exactly.
True. That's what I said. Like, I'm not.
Exactly.
I used to laugh at this. Like, and now, like, I don't. That's so fucking wrong. It's so fucking wrong. And not only that, like, I mean, this goes back to like the stealing that I used to do. Right. Like it was harmless. I didn't care. Like I was open and told people about it, but it's like I'm not gonna walk into a place and be like, hey, like, I did it to get away with it and to lie with you. I didn't need it. I didn't care. I mean, I don't know. Like this is a I mean, I've shared that story with you
but I
many
think the
times before where I can't even do it
hypocrisy
anymore.
even gets to you. The person who doing the
Right.
hypocrisy, right? The
There's no
hypocrisy gets to
reason to
the
be.
person doing it. You think about it. You doing it, and you go and you look at someone's face, and you tell them exactly the opposite. It even take a toll on you, on the person doing
It
it.
does. Like, I mean, like it's not like I would go to my mom and say, "Hey, mom, I stole a bunch of groceries at Meijer today." If I told my mom that, I'd be disgusted with myself, right? Like, but like
But
I did it.
but the opposite is to go and be this role model person
Right.
and be this spokesperson for being a good Samaritan, blah blah. That is the utmost like yuckiest
Oh,
hypocrisy, right?
dude, that
That's what
happens all
you're
the time.
doing with this promise to keep. This is what he's doing with saying, hey,
Yes.
look, look all this thing and be and like be yourself and do all this great good deed,
Right.
blah blah.
And
And
you're
then
like,
you
it's
go
all
use the
bullshit.
bad deed, right?
Yeah.
If you're a bad person, say, hey, I'm an asshole, okay?
Yep.
I am who I am, but I'm trying, but I'm not. Because the thing is, the I think the hypocrisy is that anyone can overcome that, but they choose and they use their free will to do that. Because it doesn't matter who you are, right? If you are doing it, it takes energy and willpower to do the opposite of who you are,
Yes.
right? And it
Both
takes so
ways.
much more.
It's a double energy suck, because if you're doing something that doesn't align to who you are, like i.e. stealing from me or something like that, that doesn't align who I am. Like I just did it for I did it for fun. Like and not only that, then I have to go tell other people.
Was it
I
fun?
don't tell other people that I do this. So it's a double whammy of like I know in my heart of hearts this isn't who I want to be. And then at the same time, I also, the reason why I can't tell people that I do care about that this is what I did is because I know in my heart of hearts this isn't who I want to be, and I know in my heart of hearts that this isn't who they want me to be, right? And it's like a double, it's a double, smack in the face. It's like gambling for me back when I used to gamble a lot or whatever. It was like I know that this does not make me feel good, and I also know that if I had told my mom or my dad that I had $800 in my bank account, I just spent $700 of it at the casino, or I spent 1,000 of it, and then I called them and I was like, hey, I need a $300 loan or something like that, like, and they would be like, what'd you do? I'd be like, well, I just didn't budget well this month or something like that, like, but my point being is like it's a double whammy of A, I don't feel good, and then B, like I have to then, like you said, go use more energy to hide what I know that I don't like already about myself, and it's just
Exactly, because
double
when you're
whammy.
doing something that's not aligned with you, you already feel bad.
You
But
already feel bad.
imagine, I mean, this is the confession you had is perfect, right? You already feel bad because you know you shouldn't do it,
Right.
but you did it. You already feel bad, and then you have the gall to go and
Go
tell
talk about it.
somebody, say, look, you
Straight
know,
lie. Straight lie to their face. Like,
that to me, I don't know about you, but that to me is the hardest thing I would ever have to do if I were in your position. Because to me, I don't think I have enough willpower to do that.
I
I would
mean,
probably call in sick or something because for me, it's
as
like talking to
as a
stranger.
sophomore in high school, I guess I didn't care. I don't know. I mean, I because I didn't know myself. But I think that's the whole point of this whole entire conversation is like I was a stranger to myself, not a full stranger. I was like a partial stranger to myself, right? Like,
Mhm.
and I didn't spend the time to unpack that, right? Because if I just would have fucking spent 10 minutes with myself, of thinking or reflection or meditating or writing, I would have probably gone, okay, Chris, like you don't need to do this. Like, like you should just go resign from the Promise to Keep program and say, hey, sorry, I like fucking my girlfriend. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
whatever.
it
Like,
makes you feel better, and you enjoying it, right? Right now,
right.
it's like, oh, I mean, every time you do, it's like, okay, I did not fully enjoy it. Because
Yeah,
there's
no,
some
if
fucking piece of your brain saying I shouldn't do this, but the other one saying, well, but I'm enjoying the rule, so she didn't fully enjoy it. So
I mean, it's really that simple. It's just spending some time. Don't be a stranger to yourself. I mean, it really is that is the key. I think you have to be in tune with what you're doing and be honest with yourself. And I think that's the key, right? Like you talked
mhm.
about, is you have to be honest with yourself first before you can be honest with anybody else. And then when you're honest with yourself, that generally leads to honest actions, that follow that. And then everybody else sees that,
And
and
then
then
it
they
becomes
go,
an honest
"That's
relationship, because this is
exactly
my point is because if I would have met you 10 years earlier, I would have learned about the wrong Chris. And so that I thought would be aligning, but after a few months, I would say, hey, I won't talk to this Chris again.
yeah,
This guy is not compatible with me. So that chance of a meaningful relationship just becomes like the thing is for you to even like did something like that, and I say, well, I don't like that. For
Right.
you and me to go say, well, I've changed. Like it takes much more like willpower for you
Oh
to
yeah.
convince me that you have
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
changed, right?
It's almost
And so
impossible.
that
Yeah.
relationship is never going to connect because
It's impossible
the
almost.
person that I thought I knew, right, is not aligning with who I am, so I have to go my separate ways,
This is
and
why
that
cheating,
creates.
infidelity, right? Like in a relationship is almost impossible to overcome. Like, I mean, because like once that precedent of action has been set, like you're like, you start to, everything the person does, you question like, well, are they telling me the truth? Like, and when you fucking think about that every single time, like, I don't know, that's too much. Like I can't worry about every single day of whether True is telling me the truth or not. Like I can't. Like I know that True is telling me the truth
Mhm.
because True shows up every single night and we talk about this stuff, right? Or whatever, right? You show up, your actions show me what matter, right? If you're traveling or if we're doing whatever else, like we still figure out a way to do this stuff, right? Like I mean, if like okay, I love Blake to death, but like when was the last time Blake joined us for one of these conversations? Because this
Couple
didn't
years.
matter to Blake. I mean, and I don't mean that to be mean. I'm just like we tried really, really hard to get
Well, the
Blake.
thing is, I can respect that. I don't have a
And that's
problem
fine.
with it. Just say, look,
Right.
this is not for me.
Right.
To me, like I say, if I'm an asshole, I become an asshole. I mean, I feel good about myself, and okay, how much, how much can I, you know, continue to walk along this journey with this guy? Because up front that I'm not lying to you.
Right.
That relationship can work because the thing is, okay, for this short of a journey, he can come along and I know who he is as who he is because
Mhm.
for me, me, right? I don't I don't really care about lying to people. I just tell you the truth because I don't really
Right.
I mean I don't want to lie for one, and I don't want to feel bad. So I tell you whether or not it hurts people or not. Right? To me, my opinion, that's your problem.
Right. Yep.
As
I
long
agree.
as I don't fabricate, right? If I'm telling the truth and I say this is according to me, this is my opinion. This is why I say that a lot because I'm saying it's up to you. I cannot control your happiness, but I'm telling you what I see. If I say
Right.
it's wrong, that's fine. But tell me I'm wrong. But I'm telling you from my standpoint, this is what I see. But I'm not telling you it's universally it's the truth, whatever.
Right.
But
Right.
I'm telling you what I see, and that may hurt you. That's fine. But it's not my problem to not be hurt because is it the truth or is it not? Because if I completely fabricate that, then yes, I'm harming people. And that goes back to my conscience and go back against my core values.
Agreed.
So the person that I am is who I am. So when I become that person and be with my them, I enjoy that existence. And
Yep.
you also can say, well, I can judge from my side whether I know myself and I know this person as this kind of character. Does it compatible with me to even give him a second of my time? Because your time is valuable too. Because you shouldn't make it if I'm this asshole that is lying to you every single day, you have wasted 3.5 years of your life.
Right.
That is a fucking a lot of I mean that's a huge amount of resources, so much valuable resource you could spend someone else,
a tons. Like
right?
this is again
So
why
if one day
infidelity
you
hurts
found
so
out that
bad.
all of the thing that I said to you was a lie, you would hate me until the day I die.
I mean, I don't know about that, but I mean, I
But you
definitely
think
would
about
be,
it, but
I,
you
I'd be,
should
I'd
be. You
be
should be. You think
disappointed.
about it. He have basically, you know, completely stole all this time out of my life. You think about it, we talked about this yesterday. How many days do you have in your entire life? Probably
Right.
30 to 40,000 days. Okay. He have taken how many days out of your life,
Yep.
right? If I've asked you or asked Steve Jobs, okay, how much would you pay for a day, extra day in your life? How much would you pay?
I mean, priceless. I'm sure, right?
Exactly. That's my point. Is
Yeah.
that's why you should hate my gut. If one day you found out I have pretending to be this nice person all this time, and I'm going to strip clubs and doing all this stuff.
Which I like once again, like I mean, I have to be like, I can't state this enough. Like I don't give a shit what anybody does if they're honest with me, right? Like if you say like, hey, I'm a recovering, coke addict, and like my friend Adam, right? Like, he's he's been through a lot in his life. He will never not say what's going on, or how he, what's happened, or how he got to where he got to, and what he's learned from it, right? Like I mean, this is damn near like basically Alcoholics Anonymous 101, I think, right? I've never been to an AA meeting, but I'm pretty sure like their whole 12 steps process is like you got to be honest with yourself, and you got to be honest with other people once you can be honest with yourself. And then from there, then you can finally start to rebuild relationships around you. Because like you can't, like, I mean, addiction and all these other things. Remember that book that we read, the Fifth Vital,
Hmm.
about that Mike Majlak, the guy that's like the social media influencer that was addicted to oxy, and his life or whatever. I mean, like, yeah, he detailed it so well in that book about how all you basically do is lie to people, when you're an addict, right? I mean, that's like, and it's got to be the most painful part of being an addict is constantly letting people down. And like, and this is what you see time and time again from addicts. This is what I saw from one of my best friends. Like he would say, I want to change, and then he wouldn't, and then the next day he would do exactly what you told him not to do, and you're like, or what he told you he wouldn't do, right? And you're like, what do I do? Like, do I stick with you? Do I not? Like, I mean, like, I can't invest my resources and time into somebody that's constantly gonna let me down. Like, I mean, to your exact point earlier, like, you just can't invest into that. And like, and this is going 360 around all the way back to like where we started, or I guess 180 back to where we started. Like, if you can't do that to yourself, you are fucked. Like, I mean, like if you lie to yourself all day long and yourself can't even trust yourself, then you are fucked. Like, I mean, like that
This is where you have regrets when on your last day. You say,
yes,
"Well, I have spent so much time doing things that's not beneficial to me. I mean, I'm wasting it. I
I
regret
wasted it.
not spending time doing that, this and other."
I can't even trust myself. Like, I mean, like I can't, I mean, that's probably got to be one of the most horrible things that anybody could ever say in their entire life is like, I don't trust myself. Like I didn't trust myself to not gamble. Like that's why I stopped. Like, because I didn't
Mm.
trust myself, like to stay away from that, right? I didn't trust myself, like in a lot of other situations in my life, or something like that. Like that's like, luckily for me, like I was like, I don't know, like I talked about this in the last two reflections, there wasn't some black swan event that stopped me from gambling. I don't know what the fuck did, to be honest with you. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it was well, maybe it was a black swan event of online poker getting shut down. I don't
Hmm.
know. But whatever it is, like I didn't make that decision for myself. Something else made that decision for me, and thank God, right? Because like I don't know where the fuck that would have led me, because I didn't trust myself when I gambled. Like, I mean, I could be honest, I could be 100% honest with you. I do not trust myself gambling.
Hmm.
It does not matter how much training or understanding myself I have now today. I still don't trust myself gambling, right? Like, and I just like, if you can't trust yourself, then it's the only bad shit's gonna happen.
I mean, you don't trust yourself. How can you enjoy life? I mean, I mean,
Can't.
I mean, it's hard to compute that logic.
Yeah,
Just can't. Just I mean,
right,
either enjoy your life or you don't.
right.
And there's only one way to enjoy your life is you gotta be who you are. There's only one way. There are one way to enjoy your life, and there are million of ways not to enjoy your life. That's just the odds,
Yep.
right? And so everything we talk about thus far through 351 episodes so far, it's all about knowing yourself.
That's exactly what it is, because that is what the Your Magical Learning is. That's what the core values quest is. That's what a lot of
That's
this
what
stuff is.
clubbing is.
That's what clubbing is. Yeah, you're right. That is what clubbing is. It's about helping people to understand themselves, so then we can all go forward together, to help each other, right? Like, because I mean,
Yes.
I mean, think about the power in that from a community aspect, right? If you know that everybody around you knows who they are, or at least has a pretty good idea of it, or is willing to at least do the work to figure out how I can evolve and get to know myself better, like I want to be around those people because like then I know I don't have to worry about the trust issues of other I don't have to worry about that. Like I don't have to worry about True not showing up. I don't have to worry about True not saying and doing what True says he's going to do. I don't have to worry about that. Like I mean I like and like I have a lot of other things to worry about in life, but I don't have to worry about that. And that's one less thing to worry about, right? I can just focus on my energy on shit that matters to me.
Yeah, unknown creates uncertainty, and that creates anxiety, and we don't want anxiety in our life,
No,
right? And so we need to have at least some aspect of our life that it is under our control, right? Because otherwise, your life is completely unbalanced and chaotic. You just cannot enjoy life that way. You're gonna have stress. You're gonna have ulcers. You're gonna have like tons of chemical releasing just to balance out your emotions, and and that takes a toll on you.
catastrophe. I mean, it's nothing. It's eventually will be a catastrophe. You'll end up like Bernie Madoff, like or Sylvia Plath, or I don't know, whatever else, the stories from this book. But Jerry Sandusky, my God, Jerry Sandusky, like, I mean, how do you like talk about when shit spirals downhill? Yeah, what was that book that we read? The Devil in the White City, H. Holmes or whatever, the serial killer in Chicago. It's like it can spiral real bad. Like, I mean, real fast. When you can lie to yourself.
Like I say, million ways not to be yourself. There's a million ways of misery. I mean, it basically is unlimited
It is.
ways
Yeah.
to be miserable.
Agreed. Agreed. All right. I think I'm good. Any other
We're good.
You feel good? All right.
I'm
Awesome.
purged.
Good. Question we can leave for everybody is are your words and actions in alignment with what you say you want who you say you want to be? Check in.
Yeah,
That's probably the most important question you ever to ask yourself. Just check in every day.
yeah. So don't be a stranger to yourself.
Exactly. Awesome. And tomorrow we have drumroll another Malcolm Gladwell book. I got so hooked on
Oh,
this one. I was like, oh man, I gotta keep going.
okay.
And then I ended up reading all of Malcolm Gladwell's books by like book 375 or something like that. Like I just
Okay.
like I went down a rabbit hole of all Malcolm Gladwell books.
Should be good.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, all right. Thanks for joining. Have a good night.
Good night.